Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Zon Academy. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, you're in for a real treat. We're going to hear all about why labs are switching to Formlabs for their printing needs. And today we have John Serino here, who is an enterprise account manager, and he's going to explain to you the ins and outs of their new technology, why their resins are great, why their printers are great, and why labs are switching to Formlabs. So thank you. Thank you, John, for being here. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to speak to our customers, about this great new technology that Formlabs has. What happened, John also, set some time apart and he created some poll questions for us so that he would be able to understand, what you're thinking on the other side of the screen. So please, when those polls come up, if you wouldn't mind just filling those out, we really appreciate it. Most of it is just like a yes or a no. And we will have live Q&A at the end, so get your questions ready and type them in at the bottom of your screen. And at the end of the presentation, we'll be more than happy to answer those questions. But John, I want to welcome you, and I'm going to turn this over to you now.
All right, fantastic. Thanks everyone for joining me this afternoon. I've started my day out a little bit complicated with the holiday. I keep thinking today is Tuesday, but fortunately for everybody on this call, it's Wednesday. So this is fantastic. So as Fran mentioned, we're going to go through and introduce you to the Form 4B and Form 4BL technology. Just to let you know, this technology has been really revolutionary for Formlabs. And listen, depending on who you talk to, we're number one, number two in the space. And I know a lot of people on this call have probably had exposure to us before, but I really want to clear a lot of things up about what is explain why there's so many great things with this technology that, should really consider integrating into your lab. So, by the time we're done, I think the key points that we're going to discuss why labs are switching to Formlabs is that, our blazing speed meets our unmatched accuracy. We'll talk about that. We've got some data points there. We've got a much lower cost per model. And I think, listen, your doctors don't want to pay for models. There's downward pressure on pricing for models, but there's upwards of cost in terms of labor and supply costs, and your margins are being squeezed. We think we've got an opportunity for you to take some of that back. Okay. We've got a higher throughput and fewer touch points on this printer, especially when we talk about our 4BL. The technology is great and it's so fast that, I know automation's hot in the industry right now, but this printer with its high throughput, it's okay for the parts to hang there for a little bit and not have any type of user intervention. We'll talk about that. We are open now, and we've got a ton of flexible options out there for whatever end-use appliance you're looking for. And we'll talk about what's so great about staying in Formlabs ecosystem to produce those parts. There's some really cool ease of use features we have. Talk about end-to-end ecosystem. Listen, all of our resins come with a validated workflow for your end-use appliances. Okay. And then we'll talk about, in the rare event with that something goes wrong, how do we take care of it? How do we resolve issues to get you up and printing again? Okay. And with that, let's hop into the deck. Like I said, I have about 200 slides here, but it is Wednesday, so I think we'll have everybody out of here before the weekend. So
First, we have our first poll question that I'd like to launch. We're going to keep this up for about 30 seconds. And John wants to know, what is the most important thing when evaluating your 3D printer? So if you wouldn't mind just answering these questions quickly. I'll leave this up for another 15, 20 seconds now.
And there's a typo in number 3. It is ease of use implementation for everybody that hasn't figured that out. I typed these questions, so I'll fall on the sword. This was fully my mistake. So
Okay, so it's looking like accuracy
okay.
is the number one
Okay.
point. So 71% are saying accuracy,
Okay.
14% saying speed, and 13% is saying ease of use or implementation. So it's accuracy, John.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you, John.
Perfect. So we've got some great data points. We're going to go ahead and we're going to discuss that. And then we're not going to talk about accuracy. We're going to talk about consistency, which I think is very important also. And then we'll talk about speed and then ease of use. I mean, listen, no one's going to beat us there. Absolutely not. No one's going to beat us there. And I think that's pretty well on, accepted. So with that, okay. So just a little bit about Formlabs. Hey, listen, we've got 130,000 printers in the wild, over 25,000 dental users. Okay. I think the Form 4 we're up to, I believe it's in excess of 10,000 units placed. And on the 4Ls, we're up over 1,000. I believe that's the most accurate recent data I've seen. So that's super exciting. Lots of happy customers out there. Okay. We've got 200 million parts produced worldwide. You see, we have 850 employees across 8 offices around the world, 3 main factories. Main one being in Ohio is where we produce all of our resins. We'll talk about that. Okay. We see we've got a full lineup of hardware and ecosystem. We have our software. People love our preform dental software, which is our nesting software. We'll talk about some new features in there. Not everyone will be not be quite aware of, as well as Dashboard, which is our online printer management system that holds a ton of value for you and your labs and helps you effectively manage your fleet. And then we'll talk about some of the resins that we produce, particularly the model resins, and then we'll talk about how we're open with some third-party resins. Okay. And as you see, some of you may have gotten in our ecosystem at some point here. Okay. As you see, we started as a Kickstarter in 2012, really doubled down into dental industry around 2015 with the launch of the Form 2, Advent Form 3, 3L, 3B, Form 3, 3B Plus, and now the Form 4B and 4BL. 4B is just over a year old, and then the 4BL is just under about 6 months. I'm sorry. Okay. As I mentioned, our resins are produced at Spectra Photopolymers, which is a fully owned subsidiary of Formlabs, just outside of Toledo, Ohio. All of our biocompatible resins are produced in an ISO 13485 certified clean room. So we have a robust QMS as more and more regulation come into this industry that and some standards that we hold ourselves accountable to. Very forward thinking here. Okay. But with that, I want to introduce our Form 4B hardware. Okay. And with the Form 4B, we like to say that blazing speed meets unmatched accuracy. Okay. I think that as number 1 and number 2 poll questions say that those are most important. We say you can produce a model as fast as every 49 seconds. Accuracy, we've got some data on that I'm going to share. And then intuitive, we think anyone can learn this and really get after the ease of use, which is the third, most important thing to this group on this call, is that you can scale this across your team fairly easily. So blazing speed, clear aligner models, ortho models, removable models. You can do 11 parts in 9 minutes. You do the math there, it's 49 seconds per part. Occlusal splints, 6 minutes, 6 seconds apart. That's 49 minutes for 8 splints. That's using our LT Comfort, which is a really nice resin that patients are loving because it molds their mouth once it hits the heat, patient's body temperature. Restorative models, okay, at 50 microns, okay, we're at just under 2 hours, and that's going to be for 10 models or 5 patient kits and accompanying dyes or implant analogs. And this is on the 4B we're talking. We also have a 100 micron setting there, which is also crazy accurate. And insertional guides, all on X, on and on. Okay. Talking about unrivaled accuracy, which obviously, there's a lot of things we're going to talk about this call that are going to be good and exciting. But if we don't nail this, okay, then obviously we're gonna fall a little bit flat. Okay. We're saying that 99.7 of our surface is going to be within 100 microns of our original scan or our original CAD file. Okay. That's pretty industry leading. We know there's one comparable DLP printer that has a great reputation that rivals us. Other than that, we feel that we've got a lead on everybody else when it comes to that. Plus, with this, you get a much larger build platform, so you can get a higher throughput and a higher volume of models. Okay. This is a new technology, which we'll talk a little bit later. This is not DLP. So we are able to scale a larger build platform and maintain consistency, unlike some of our competitors. As the light source in DLP gets farther away from the build platform, the image becomes more pixelated, reducing accuracy. And here's just some additional data points that we've got here. And listen, this even compares it back to our Form 3 model Resin V3. As you see, we're especially more accurate than that material. Just listen, we've got a newer revolutionary technology that's able to produce a much more accurate model. Okay, that's what our precision model material looks like. Okay, precision model is our crown and bridge model. You see implant analog. This is a big problem. I think a lot of I've heard labs struggle with. And this is a way that we've had multiple data points, where people said, hey, you have really solved this problem for me. I had a hard time fitting these analogs, and you've given me a solution where I can rely on the fit every time. Okay. Here's a little bit more detail on this. What's really nice about this model also is that it does have a little bit of weight to it. This feels more like dental stone than any part that I've held in my hands. I think your benchtop technicians would very, very much like this. I don't think they would throw this back at you. They would enjoy working on this, but I think we'll give you the true shading capability. Okay. And this is priced from our friends at Zahn at a retail cost of $116 per liter. That's, of course, if you buy one, and if you buy it in 5-liter containers. If you buy more, then obviously, we will work with our friends at Zahn to get this a whole lot more competitive for you. Okay. And, talking about accuracy and consistency, I want to, I was very challenged very earlier in the advent and the launch of this product. To say, one of the things that we've struggled with consistently is different printers having different accuracy levels and really trying to dial that in. So I said, hey, send me some models. I know someone who's got a bunch of printers. We'll make this happen for you, and we'll get you the data. So what this lab did is they provided us with 21 different unique models. I grouped them into 3 different .form files, which is the Formlabs nesting file. And we printed these across 3 random printers at the print farm. Okay. And that was AK, AH, and AW, whatever they end up standing for, serial numbers, just a way to track it. And then what we did is we scanned the models and overlaid it over the original CAD file and came up with a heat map for accuracy. And this was like kind of a wow moment. So here's the first file. You just see what type of models they are, some full arch models, some mini social 6 models, if you will, or interior-ish models. Okay. And here's the data we've got. So I'm going to focus everyone on the 100 micron columns. That's ultimately where the accuracy is going to be most important. And then if you look in the row, that first model, we'll call it full model 1A, printer 1, 99.7 accurate. Printer 2, 99.8 accurate. Printer 3, 99.7 accurate. We'll go down to mini model 1, 99.7, 100% accurate. 100% accurate. That means there was no discernible defects or differences from the CAD model to the printed model. Okay. Anything within 4% is considered well within tolerance in the industry. So you see, we're coming in at 0.1% of difference in between individual printers. This was pretty striking. Then we had another style model. We had some quadrants and some removables. Okay. And this is all with our precision model. Once again, not going to bore everybody with data. Everybody knows how to read. It's here. It's once again very, very consistent. Okay. And then once again, here are some splint models, some articulated splint models. Okay. Once again, here we go. Consistent all the way across. So super, super exciting. Okay. And we compare this to, a lot of people feel very dear about carbon and the level of consistency they get from carbon. And this is one data point. This is actually the most complimentary data point that Carbon provides on their website. And it is saying that they're only 94% accurate. and this could be at 25 microns. We don't know, which is a lot, is the most desired detail level. Okay. We printed all of ours at 50, which is where we think most labs tend to gravitate to. So we don't know how much this was cherry picked to give this data, and we surpassed it in terms of accuracy. And we have another great material that I discussed, and this is our fast model material. This is a super, this is designed for ortho removable, great option for that, because this stuff is just super fast. And we're going to look at some accuracy data on this also, because we ran this just for the hell of it for this lab on the models they gave us. And we were astonished with how well this when we really peeled back the layers of the onion, like how accurate this stuff was. So with that, this stuff is even bigger cost savings for you. Okay. This is 65 a liter if you buy it in 5-liter containers. Once again, we mix and match volume. We can go ahead and work with our friends at Zon to go ahead and discount that for you based on a volume purchase, and drive that cost lower, and really get super competitive here. Okay. You'll see here it has 100 and 160 micron setting. Okay. And once again, here's our models. We did articulate splint. We said, hey, this is the most use case that we could see someone using this resin for. And there was the accuracy there, which was pretty exciting also at the 100 microns for removable appliance. That's wow. So exciting. So I think we've we've tackled this whole accuracy thing. Okay. All right. And then, reliability. Okay. So accuracy and consistency. I'm sorry. Now we've got reliability. Okay. There's a study linked in here. Listen, I could share with anybody, if anybody doesn't have anything to do this weekend, first official weekend of summer, or second official week of unofficial week of summer, I could send you a study. You guys can read it. The big takeaway from here is that prints don't really fail. I mean, we had an independent third party come in and test our printer against benchmark A, benchmark B. Fortunately, I don't know what those are. And just saying that our printer was a whole lot more consistent. We kind of see across the industry 7 and 9% print failure is kind of the mean. Dental, you probably get it around 5, 4.5, 5. And we're coming in much lower than that with a 1.3% failure rate, which, listen, stuff happens. This is I think more than acceptable. Most lab owners I've showed this with were told me that if they could achieve this in their lab with their existing hardware, that they would be thrilled. And a lot of reason that we're having this discussion is they're just not there. Consumables. Okay. Listen, we launched a new resin tank. We realized that buying resin tanks just not a ton of fun. Nobody wants to buy resin tanks. Okay. So we've designed our resin tanks to last a long time. Okay. We don't rate these resin tanks on liters. We do it on layers. Okay. And I'll convert that into English for everybody. Okay. We're saying that, a tank is rated regardless of material. Okay. All Formlabs materials have the same lifespan in tanks. We estimate tanks to be at about 75,000 layers. Okay. You figure average dental model is about 220 layers. You take that 220 layers and you say there's X amount of models in a liter of resin. And I'm going to tell you, being conservative, you should get, based on estimates, and obviously there's always some variation here, 40 to 60 liters of resin through a single $99 resin tank. So like I said, not interested in monetizing tanks. We realize it's part of the ecosystem. You can't really get away from it, but it's not something we're looking to generate a ton of revenue off. We want to create a lot. We'd prefer to create more value here. And then, we talked about the 4B. Well, there's also the sister product, which is the 4BL, or the big sister product. I should say big sister product, because it's a larger format printer. And we'll look at, number one, about it by itself, and then we'll look at it how it compares to the 4B, because depending on your use case, you might have a real opportunity to come in here and incorporate both into your labs, or just scale one particular product based on your use case. And listen, me and the Zon team are here to help you find the solution that and make a recommendation what's best for your lab, what may be best for your lab. So here's the 4BL. Okay. And you'll see here, the darker image down here would be a 4B build platform. One thing I failed to mention is that any of our friends who are Form 2 and Form 3 users out there, the Form 4B build platform is 30% larger than your Form 4, or excuse me, your Form 2 or Form 3 build platform. So not only are you getting that increased speed, you're also getting more parts per print run, which is super nice. Form factor on the actual printer is they are almost identical. So anyone that had the Form 3 and the Form 4, there's I think 1 square centimeter in difference in size. So they would fit exactly in the same space as your Form 3. Okay. All right. And this is what it looks like. Going to that fast model at 160 microns, okay, which we feel is, people have told me is more accurate than DPR at 100 micron setting, okay? There is, we have a friend out there who's provided us with that data. We're saying that you can get 11 models in 9 minutes on the Form 4B. You ran this identical print on the 4BL, you would actually yield 32 models in 14 minutes, okay? So you start thinking about, if I need to print removable models, I need to print, some of you do, I know, dribs and drabs of ortho. It's there for you. Okay. You want to go restorative. Form 4B, once again, you see the models. We got a closer picture than what we had before. Okay. It's 6 quadrants, 4 full arches. It's about an hour 52 at 50 microns. We are seeing a ton of promise at 100 micron level. It's a relatively new setting for us. It's about 3 months old, 46 minutes. My team is telling me that you can lean in confidently at 100 microns and feel you're going to get a very, very accurate model. We've got a big set of them going out to one of our friends here, and we're very interested to hear their feedback because we feel they're going to be super excited with them. Okay. And then once again, jumping into the 4BL, you've got 28 models, which is 14 patients, 14 kits in just under 3 hours. And then you had 100 microns, you've got an hour and 14 minutes, which is pretty, I think, pretty damn exciting. And I'm realizing my math's a little bit off here. Don't ignore the minutes per models on the 100 micron setting. That's always, once again, a typo. Okay. 4L resin tanks. Once again, 4L resin tanks, they are more expensive, but should last 3x the life of your Form 4B. The way we do things here, if you're printing full build platforms, you're going to go ahead and get the full life of these resin tanks. We're looking at 120 to 180 liters of resin based on the same math I did with the Form 4 tanks at a price of $249. Okay. So, big, busy lab, which I'm sure some of you are. You're probably doing about maybe a tank a month, versus you think if you're in some of our competitors' ecosystems, how many tanks, you're probably measuring it in days instead of months. Okay. And here's how technology works. Listen, we're not going to bore you too much. I can elaborate this on a little bit more, but we're still staying true to our heart, which is SLA. We do feel that's the most accurate technology out there. But the way we've done it here, instead of having a laser cascade or a bunch of moving parts, we have a board that has 60 light bulbs. This is the Form 4B. And then those light bulbs are going up through a baffle, being focused, hitting an LCD screen, and then the LCD screen is allowing the resin to precisely cure. And that's it. It's not magic. I promise you it's not magic. I thought that was in the beginning, but I was told that this is actually how it works. Okay. And we've got some extra sensors in here that I think help your team along and help you. And when we've built these things, okay, your resin now is measured by a camera. There's a sensor in there, so we make sure that we've got the right amount of resin in your tank for you. There's a camera feature. Okay, camera's really cool. You could watch your prints in real time. There's other couple things you can do at your time, which is watch paint dry or grass grow. All totally up to you. You're totally willing to available to do that if you want. But the camera, the real function is that number one, it'll take an image of your part when it's finished and embed it into your dashboard account. So you can go back at a later time and reference that the part actually did finish, okay, that it didn't get lost on the floor in a lab pan. And then number two, or excuse me, that it actually made it onto the floor in a lab pan and just got lost or misplaced. And number two, if if you did by any chance have some sort of failed print, it does give our team the ability to look at some of these images and help you determine or what went wrong. Okay. There's a force sensor, okay, that will go ahead and optimize print speed across different materials and geometries. Okay, very, very important to make sure no matter what resin you're using, you get proper parts, okay? There is a heater in there, and then there's a mixer. The mixer is really nice. Number one, you don't have to mix anymore, okay? That's all embedded in there, okay? The other thing too is it acts as a debris sensor. So if you had a part, something fused to the bottom of the tank, the mixer could potentially hit that. Okay. It's designed to do it. We don't catch everything. Sometimes we're just too small. We can't, right? And it'll go ahead and alert your user to say, hey, you've got something fused to the bottom of your tank. You got to check this out. Let's try to fix this before you start your print. So this way we can reduce print failures for you. I think one of the things that was really pointed out to me, which should be pretty obvious, right, is that what's nice about this machine is this is a solid state machine, okay? There's two things that move in here. It's the mixer arm and it's the build platform moving north and south on the Z-axis. Other than that, nothing else moves in here. I think that is, as you put wear on any of the technology you have in your labs, I think the less moving parts, less level of complexity leads to things not loosening and unwanted things happening. Okay, you think about your car. I'm sure everybody drives your car. Mile one off the lot sounds pretty good. You hit that bump, not a lot of rattling. Mile 120,000, everything rattles. So I think that's what's really nice about we designed this. And then we went to 4BL. We just went bigger. That's it. We just bought bigger components, manufactured bigger components. Okay. And with this, we talked about, we've got ease of use people. I wish I could see everybody's hands. I'd have the ease of use people kind of wave their hands at me and say, hey, this is important to me. We've got some cool stuff here to help your team out. Okay. Quick release build platform. I'm sure any of you that are in ecosystem now probably have these. And if you don't, you absolutely should. These things are awesome. So your parts come off the printer. Instead of you having to scrape parts like you see in what is going to be your bottom left-hand corner with a scraper, okay, you just take the build platform, you flex it, and your parts fall right off. Okay. This is awesome. This works for, I think it's like 97% of Formlabs resins. Obviously, it doesn't work for gingiva because the gingiva just flexes with it. But this is awesome. If you want to make your team love you even more than they already do, get them one of these. Definitely get them one of these. I don't know about you. I have 10 fingers. I intend on trying to keep it that way. I do not want to cut my fingers off with sharp tools, taking parts off build platforms. Okay. And this is available, obviously, as mentioned, for the 3. We've got the 4 is pictured here in the bottom in the non-moving image. And then we also have it now available for the 4BL. Okay. Automatic resin handling. Okay. We've got 2 ways to do this. No more pouring. No more pouring. Don't have to do that if you're using Formlabs branded resins, okay? You put the resin cartridge in the back if everyone's not familiar with that. And what'll happen is the resin will bleed. There's been some redesigns on the cartridges that allow your tanks to fill a whole lot faster than prior generations of Formlabs printers. And changing out resin is as easily as removing the cartridge, just as you see her inserting it, and changing out your tanks, and you're ready to go. There's no calibration on these machines when changing resins. Your software will recognize it and go with it. Scalability, if by one chance your team member puts fast model resin in the back of the printer, okay, and then the resin tank has precision model or splint material, the printer says, hey, timeout. You get 2 different resins in here. You need to go ahead and resolve or we won't print. And that just says, oh, I made a mistake. I'm going to go ahead and resolve this. Listen, we're all human beings. We get distracted. We get tired. Stuff happens, right? Printer's trying to help you out. Okay. And then we also have a resin pumping system for our most common resins. Okay. And what this is packaged in a 5 liter container, as you see right here. Okay. And you hook it up to a pump. And in lieu of putting the resin cartridge in the back of the printer, you're going to go ahead and put the pump in. Okay. 4BL only requires one pump, does not require multiple pumps. Okay. And the resins you see here in the center are the ones that are stocked that you can order. And our friend Zon has inventory of, Formlabs keeps inventory of. If there is another resin that you're attracted to that is not listed here for Form 4, let us know. We can do it. We just need a minimum order quantity and a little bit of lead time, and we can make this happen for you. The cool thing is, at least with the resins here, there is a little bit of a discount baked in when you purchase these at retail. So it is nice versus, in 1 liter containers. Plus, we don't have cardboard waste and plastic waste and all this other stuff that we have to worry about. Okay. We have a full suite of bench post-processing, keeping up with that ease of use. We have our new Formwash 2nd Gen. I had someone who had a lot of exposure to our wash machines. Cruise by as this thing was running at LMT, and he's like, "Whoa, I've never seen a Formwash work like that. I've never seen anything wash like that." This thing provides a ton of agitation. A little data point that we have just internally is that we do our sample parts at our resin factory in Ohio, and their production actually jumped with the implementation of the Form 4. And one of the things that they were particularly saying was affecting that was the Formwash Gen 2, because when the parts were getting past curing, they were actually QCing at a much higher rate. And a lot of it was just due to the great job that the Formwash 2 does. And if you don't know, your parts go in, you can either detach them from a build platform, or God forbid, you cheated on me and used another 3D printing company. You could put those parts in that basket, lower the basket, set a custom time, printer's done, or excuse me, wash cycle's done, wash comes up, parts sit there and they dry, and they're just waiting for you to come and collect them and move them downstream. What's nice about our precision model resin, our fast model resin, they're both 5-minute washes. So super, super fast. Okay. And then we have our Form Cure Gen 2. I think this is a must have for anybody doing appliances in your labs. It's just so fast and so consistent. Okay. It'll do your models in 1 minute. Okay. And then any of your appliances in 10 or less. And that's Formlabs branded resin. Obviously, we're going to talk about open material mode here. Any of those resins, you need to refer back to that manufacturer's post-processing instructions. But this has been a great addition to our family. And it has a high throughput. You can put about 15 models in there at a time. So if anybody has the Formwash, the prior generations of Form Cures is a much larger unit. And the other thing that's nice is it does open like a microwave for access. It doesn't have, you don't need that heavy overhead clearance like you needed in prior versions of this product. Super, super nice. Okay. All right. And then we have our large format post-processing for people who want to scale larger production that really matches up nice with our 4BL. Listen, we can come in, me and the team at Zon, and we can consult with you, which may be the best setup for you based on what your throughput needs are and occupancy and so forth and so on. So here's our Formwash L Gen 2. This is a new product, performs very similar to the Formwash Gen 2 in that just increased agitation. Really looking to get these parts clean. And then we have our Form Cure L, which is a sister product. You see the amount of models that we estimate you can get in there. Okay. And once again, this opens up like a microwave. Okay. And we've got some cool production software. Some of these are just additions in with the Form 4B, and then some of them are some new additions. So the first one we've got, it's been hiding out there for a while, and hopefully a lot of you are aware of this that have customers of ours. But if you're not, we do have the ability to go ahead and have a templating feature, okay, that says, hey, every time I bring in a restorative model, I want it flat to the build platform, okay? Every time I bring in a splint, I want it supported automatically at a 45-degree angle. you can set those templates up where you tell the software what you're bringing in, whether it's a model or an appliance. That software knows, based on your preferences that you've set up, how to automatically support and orient that. So it's a huge, huge time saver. Okay. And then we've got some additional features where we've got some minor editing features in here. Now, I don't want to create the illusion that we would ever go and get your 3Shape or your ExoCAD out of your lab, but we do have the ability to go ahead and add labels, that's engraving or embossing on our models. We do have the ability to go ahead and hollow and honeycomb and automatically place drain holes into your models also. And that's shown in the middle picture as you can see it. Hopefully everybody can see that on their screen, which is a super, super cool feature. And this is all automated in our scan the model. So I was skeptical how this would work in a lab, but as one of my labs explained it to me, which was super helpful in helping understand it, is sometimes your bench technician standing over your CAM department and like, dude, I just see my model. Where's my model? I gotta go. Come on, where's my model? And instead of having to kick that out to a designer who may be offsite and put it through the CAD, again, your CAM lead can just go ahead and design a super quick diagnostic model. So I thought that was kind of cool. And we got a remote printing feature. Talking about a lot of you as we talk about how some of the stuff is off-site. Your offsite designers can go ahead and send files directly to your printer through Dashboard. Dashboards are online management software for your printers, and go ahead and communicate that over and get jobs lined up and queued. If they're in a different time zone than you, what's great is you can come in the morning and there's already a print potentially done for you, which is a super nice feature. Okay. Also, what we have is the ability of group queues. Okay. This is also a dashboard feature. Okay. This is free. Some of you may have previously used it under another brand name called Fleet Control. Okay. We've rebranded it. So it's going to function very similar, the same. What you'll do, instead of nesting to an individual printer, you'll nest to a queue. So imagine your lab has 6 printers, okay? You've got 4 running dental models and you've got 2 running splints. You take all of your models and you don't nest it to printer 1, 2, 3, or 4. You nest it to the model queue. And then as your models are finished, okay, your operator comes by, removes the build platform, says, hey, I've got a clean build platform in there. I'm ready to go. Instead of having to fumble around and figure out what's next, it's just going to ping the queue and pull that model right back down and get you started. So I think that's really nice as we talk about, hey, listen, automation's great. I think people think so much of automation just as physically removing the parts, when I think some of these cool software features I described and some of the batch post-processing we can do with our large format wash and cure have as much, if not more value. And it doesn't come with a super premium. So this is nice. The other thing Dashboard will do for you, people think this is super easy software. I don't know who's on this call. I'd love for someone to raise their hand and give a testimonial here, because it does a great job in monitoring your fleet of printers, what's available, remaining consumables, consumable usage, print times. If you're doing biocompatible appliances, it can go ahead and export lot numbers into a CSV for QMS systems. There's tons of cool stuff you can do with this. So there's a lot of features here that help you effectively manage your fleet. And of course, you're always in control. If you had a print that was a rush job, you just simply drag it from 6th in line in the queue to next in line in the queue, and that job would go next. So,
John, we have a chat. So
okay.
if anybody would like to put any information in the chat for everybody to see, that would be great. So that's another way of all of us communicating.
Yeah. So, yeah, if anybody's got anything good to say about us, I hope it's good to say. Don't say anything bad about us or me. Say bad stuff about me. I could take the hit. That's fine. So, all right. Okay. And then service and education. Okay. All right. So we've got a team of dental service technicians. They are cross-trained not only in Formlabs printer hardware as well as the language of dental. They do know what dental models are. They do know what dentures are. They know what splints are. They know what we're trying to do and how to enter dental labs. So that is huge for you. Okay. We've also built out a pretty robust university offering that goes ahead and it'll help bring your team up to speed on a lot of different topics. You could always reach out to me if you're looking for something specific. If you can't quite find it, I'll get it to you. Okay. It's there. Okay. And then, what happens if things go sideways? Listen, we all have technology here. If I said to you that, you know, if we sold 30 printers here and everybody did 1,000 jobs, that one wouldn't fail and require troubleshooting, I would be lying to you. We know this, right? It happens with your mills. It happens with your desktop scanners. It happens software crashes. Like, it's not so much that stuff will go wrong, it's how's it resolved. And I think we do a great job here. Okay. What we'll do, the process is when you have a service plan and warranty plan in place, which I promise you, from what people have told me across the industry, are extremely reasonable. Okay. Then what you'll do, you'll call in and say, hey, I've got a problem. Okay. You'll go to the front of the queue. Okay. Versus everyone that doesn't have a service plan to get expedited help or email support if that's the way you choose to reach out to us. Okay. We're going to say, hey, we're going to do triage. Is your firmware up to date? Which, believe it or not, is solves a vast majority of the problems that people call on with printers. If you say, no, it's not a firmware, we had something fused to the bottom tank, I'm not sure I cleaned it right. Okay. We'll help walk you through that. Okay. If it comes to a point where there's a part in your printer that has worn and you're under a service and warranty plan, then what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and we'll send you the replacement part to do the service on site yourself. And that's free of charge. What's nice about that, there's 36 modular parts inside of a printer, and a vast majority of printer replacements or parts replacements are designed to be executed in 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. So there's nothing you can't do without a screwdriver. Okay. If we ever get to a point where we say, hey, we did the software troubleshooting, we did the technique troubleshooting, we don't think a spare part's going to solve, what we'll do is we'll do a hot swap where we'll simply send you a replacement printer, you put your busted printer in the box, send it back to us, and then we're good. Everybody's good to go. I think the main thing is that whether, if we had adopted a service philosophy where we put technicians on a plane and scheduled and troubleshot and got there and saw, I still think you're getting a resolution in what is approximately the same time, regardless of, what some of our competitors may offer. And I think it's just making sure everyone's aware of that. And I think my team does a really great job. I honestly do. And I get compliments on that all the time. We had a little issue for a user, a Form 3 user this morning, and we did something really great for them out of the box, and they're thrilled. And their compliment was, you guys came through for us again. So, yeah. Okay. And Formlabs is open now, which is also super, super exciting. I think there's a lot of people that don't want to be locked out of what is currently available if you choose to adopt, or what may come in the future, because we don't know, right? So, so let's talk about what this means and what it is. Okay. So we've got our Formlabs certified materials. That would be something like our Bago material, where we go ahead and we package it in a Formlabs packaging. Okay. And you just buy it off the shelf, insert it in your printer. It's a third-party resin. We also have a preforms print settings editor, okay, with our open platform. That would allow you to go ahead and tweak any Formlabs branded resins you'd want, okay? I've had some people do this with early layer exposure. I've had some people try to develop a micron setting in between 50 and 100. It's challenging. Okay. We can guide you a little bit here, but just know that it's there. But the one that I think has Dental Labs most excited is open material modes, where third-party resin manufacturers go out and develop settings. You buy a material mode license to unlock your printer. Okay. And you can go ahead and import those settings and print that resin. Material licenses for the Form 4B are $2,500. Okay. That is per printer. That is a one-time fee. That's not annual. If, God forbid, we did have to hot swap your printer, we would transfer the license for you. Okay. And that also unlocks any resin for you. It's not per resin. So once you pay that, you can print multiple resins. And we went this route where, a lot of our competitors are open. Okay. and they make you pay this license. It's just built into the cost of their printer. We said, hey, we're not going to charge people unless they truly, truly want to use this. Okay. And here's some resins that we just announced. Recently, these were announced at IDS. And if my friend Giorgio's on the call, and if there's any I missed, please add them in the chat. I'd love to be able to share that with some of the people on the call. Okay. So we have our DTAC flexible partial denture resin. There are some additional DTAC resins that I know are coming, but the one I think that we're leaning in with was the denture partial. We have a Vita denture base and teeth, and then there's also a Graphy direct printed clear aligner resin. If most people don't realize this, Align does not direct print aligners. They do print models in thermoform. So this is something that is very, very truly unique, okay? And each one of them have a little something different in their post-processing ecosystem potentially, and we can help guide you through that. And then the two that I think were the first that we announced at LMT earlier this year, or Lab Day, is we have our Rodent Titan, okay, and our Lucitone, or excuse me, our packed-in Rodent family of resins, which is the Sculpture and Titan, okay, as well as there's a couple more that also I think just really got validated. Don't hang me on this one. I think the denture base has also been announced and been validated, okay? And then we have the Lucitone family of resins that you can go ahead and print, okay? And once again, friends at Rodent, friends at Dentsply went ahead and developed these settings for us, okay? And this is what a Lucitone base and teeth build would look like on a Form 4B, okay? This is not on the Form 4BL, okay? I just want to go ahead and preface that. Feedback we got from Dentsply is that a majority of their users are not, and I'm sure there's a couple out there that could, argue this. And listen, if you want to go ahead and have a conversation with this, we will go back to our friends at Dentsply and go ahead and have this conversation with them. The majority were tending to print this on smaller formats of some of our competitors and didn't see the value in going on bigger, okay? The other thing, the guidance that I've gotten from Dentsply is Lucitone should print at roughly the same speed, regardless of hardware manufacturer. And at least that's what I'm being told. And the reason is because Dentsply controls the print process. They validated and developed the print process, i.e. how the light interacts with the resin. And they didn't want to stray too far away from what they knew were successfully documented exposure levels. So there you go. Okay. So you see that's a pretty nice build there when you look at that versus what you can do on some other manufacturers. Okay. And we have the added benefits of doing this on the Form 4. Still get your BP Flex. Okay. So you can release your Lucitone parts. Okay. Or your Rodent parts, if you will. Okay. We've got an integrated mixer, no more hand mixing, which also has detection of debris. Okay. Huge. We know that Dentsply has priced Lucitone at a premium. We do not want to lose a build worth of prints because there's a little piece of debris in your tank. I'm sure it's happened to you if you're using it. Still get the use of preform software and dashboard. Okay. And then the ability to scale here, which is really nice. Like I know if you're in an expensive printer lease, we know that if you need to go ahead and lease additional tanks, it could be costly. Or you continue with one tank, you have your A1, you got to drain your A1 tank back into your bottle, go ahead, put your A2 in there. With us, you just go ahead and you just buy another tank for 99 bucks and then you just store it. You don't have to clean it. Okay. And any of you that have adopted this, okay, what's nice about it, and you've moved forward with Dentsply curing units, there's no need to purchase any additional post-processing equipment, okay? And the reason is because Dentsply has created a post-processing SOP for using our printer that mirrors what is their legacy SOPs for other competitors. So, all right. And we're going to go ahead and look at the mapping of the costs. Now, one preference I'm going to put out here is that any of the costs from our competitors that are out here, okay, is what has been a conglomeration of industry knowledge, Okay. So if I'm a little bit off here and your situation's a little bit different, I apologize, but this is kind of where it kind of leads back to. And, if any of our competitors are on here, don't hang me for this. This is just what, your customers are telling me. So, my cost, I know to be true. Okay. So if you're going to go and just buy a Form 4 basic package because you're saying, I just want to do Lucitone, I don't want to do any Formlabs biocompatible resins, retail price on one of those is $34.99. You can buy a 3-year service plan on top of that to warranty your printer for an additional $3,000. You can buy an open material license and your 3-year MSRP. This is, once again, this is Formlabs website MSRP, even though you could only buy from our distributor network with our preferred partners on, okay, is that you are $89.97, 3-year cost. That's it. Now, obviously, you buy a couple tanks down the road. This is where you would be. Okay. Printer is packaged with 1 tank. If you had to mirror this to either bringing in an M3 we're hearing is about $45,000 a year lease costs. And if you're bringing in an M3 Max, we're hearing about $70,000. Now, some of you may be better negotiators and may be able to drive that price down, but that's about what we're hearing. Okay. Now let's compare our build volume here. So this is real. This is off Carbon's website. Okay. The Form 4B is 25,000 millimeters squared. Okay. The Carbon M3 or M2 by extension, okay, is 22,000 millimeters squared. Okay. With that being said, that 4B is actually bigger than your M3 and gives you additional build volume. Plus, with the nature of the technology, you can use the entire build to go ahead and to print denture material. And then the Form 4B is roughly, okay, about half the size of an M3 Max. So when you start looking at that, 2 Form 4Bs equal 1 M3 Max, you do the math, okay? So, in looking at the prior slide, once again, conglomeration industry knowledge, for 1 M3, okay, you could own 15 Form 4s and get the output of 16 M3s, okay? Because remember, you're a little bit bigger, you're about 10% bigger. And if for an M3 Max, you could own 23 Form 4s and get the output of 11 M3 Maxes with Lucitone. And this is, once again, just going back to Densify telling us that things should print at roughly a similar speed across technologies. Okay.
So I just put up a poll. Do you prefer to buy or lease your printers? If you wouldn't mind just answering that question. So it started out 50-50, and it seems that more people are now saying that they prefer to buy, and the numbers just keep dropping on the lease side. We're down to 10% prefer to lease and 90% prefer to buy.
Yeah. Wow. We hear that in the industry. I'm surprised it was that extreme, but yeah, absolutely. That's what we're seeing, seeming to hear out there. So the good thing is with us, you buy, right? You buy. So, we give you that option. You own us. And then what you do at the end is, either we upgrade or, we do, things at the end, you get your use out of this, a lot of value here. Okay. Whoops. Okay. And then once again, let's look at a competition for a couple of lease options out there and what it would look like for model production. Okay. Once again, this is based on industry knowledge. Your actual pricing may be higher or lower. Okay. All right. So if we're looking here, just a little matrix in terms of just sizing here. Okay. We've got, once again, we talked about the Form 4B volume. Your Form 4BL, as it compares to your M3 Max, is going to be about 40% bigger. Okay. You're almost 70,000, okay, square millimeters here. The Carbon M3 Max is about 50,000. So you're getting a higher throughput there. Okay. We look at here a model production. You look at your 14,000 for purchase costs. And then we could renew your service plan annually for 1,500. This once again, Formlabs retail. Okay. And then if you're in a hay gears, it's a whole different pricing structure, but your 4BL is going to be 3x the size. Okay. And your Form 4B is actually going to be bigger. So listen, I know the hay gears automation is super exciting. It is cool. Seen it work. But one of the things just to remember, if you're going to harvest the parts every so often, then you could run the 4BL and just get 3x output and not be tied once in again into that lease and the higher resin cost. Okay. I'll leave this up here for a second and I'll go. Okay. Okay. And then I did like a case study and said, hey, what would be a total 3-year cost? And the only reason I went with 3 years is like, listen, the longest Formlabs will do a warranty plan out of the gate is 3 years. If you're one of our larger enterprise customers, we have the ability to extend it past that. Okay. If you scale to 5+ printers, we can work out something with you on that. And then we say, hey, listen, Carbon M3 or Carbon is a 3-year lease, as well as hay gears is a 3-year lease. So we went and we said hardware, resin tanks, service plans. Okay. Base at 100 models a day, 2,100 a month, and then that works out to approximately 25,000 a year. Okay. I think based on 50 micron, and this is based on 50 micron, like I said, we've got a lot of exciting things that saying that 100 microns is faster. Formlabs, I think you would need 2 printers to do that. Okay. And your 3-year hardware cost of 2 printers at retail, okay, 34,000. Your consumable cost, because you're at a volume here where we can drive down your resin costs and tank costs, is just north of 61,000. So your total cost here is just north of 95,000. And then we go down, we look at a Hager's A3D. This is assuming you pay the lease to get the less expensive resin. Okay, it's about a $50 swing in resin cost. This would be 150,000 for your maintenance in lease costs. This is what we're being told. And then this would be your consumable cost. And then here's where you'd land there. And then your cost per model you would see there. Okay. With a $0 lease, okay, you're still going to have a maintenance cost. So you would have that, okay, at 3,000 a year. And then you'd have a higher resin cost. Okay. And then you would see where you would land here. At this amount of models, this is a pretty good sweet spot to go with the $0 lease. But of course, as you scale and you got bigger, your Formlabs consumable costs would drop. Your hay gears would continue to go up because it stays fixed on the resin. There's not a variable component with volume. And then your M3 Max, listen, we know this is pricing Carbon at the lowest 55-gallon drum price. We want to be complimentary to them. This is where we would think that they would land. Okay. And you'll see here, once again, this is a good sweet spot for an M3 or an M3 Max. Okay. But as you would scale, if you stuck with M3s, obviously you get a little bit more expensive because you've got that hardware cost baked in. And then if you added the automation, you see where that drives you. I'm not sure you could recoup 90 cents in labor per part. Okay. I do realize that, listen, we give you the ability to go ahead and just scale these things. Okay. And if you've got the ability to load them up at the end of the night and let a few of them run overnight, you do that. And then you also have the redundancy to go ahead and, if something does go down, then you lose just a fraction of your production as opposed to hitching your wagon to something bigger. I hope these numbers make sense. I am willing to work with the team at Zon here to go ahead and apply this model to your specific lab. If you're able to provide me with what you're currently doing, as well as, in terms of model volume, current costs, we can go ahead and map this back and give you a pretty good accurate numbers here. The other thing too with the 4L, what I failed to mention, while needing 2 of them, you are well over capacity here. So you would have room to grow here without having to add a third. Okay, you would have, I think it was with 2, if we're saying, I think it was about, one of them would have about an extra 50% in capacity. So you could grow a little bit more without having to add a third. But once again, add a third, $17,000 over 3 years. So, and you own it. Okay. So I think going back to the key points that I brought up in the beginning, like why are labs switching to Formlabs? Okay. Blazing speed meets unmatched accuracy. Okay. I think that was number one and number two in our poll results. Super fast models. Okay. And I think we've shown and demonstrated accuracy in consistency and reliability. Okay. Lower cost per model. We looked at that versus lease systems in the last couple slides. Higher throughputs. If you were looking to do your removable models, your ortho models, you do 120 models an hour in a 4BL. And then we looked at the restorative applications there. Okay. Open materials. We are flexible. We have options. We have more coming. And then we've got our end-to-end ecosystem of hardware, software, which is always free. We do not charge for software. Okay. Invalidated workflows all in sync. And then we've got our service and support team. And with that, I apologize. I am 3 minutes over, but we do want to leave time for questions here. So please start firing away.
That is no problem that you're over, John. You had a lot of great information. So, I thank you. I do have another poll for everybody. I'm going to launch that right now. It says, are you currently looking to reevaluate your relationship with your current 3D printer for producing dental models? So if you wouldn't mind just answering that poll real quickly. Well, a lot of people are saying yes, so that's good. That's good. And we'll be able to help you with that for sure. But I do have a question, and this question comes from someone that I've been speaking to the past couple of days. As a matter of fact, yesterday, he is a professor from the University of Washington, and he's looking for accuracy. He's really looking for accuracy, and he does have a question for you here, John. I'm going to get that for you in 1 second.
Yep.
And he wants to know, what is the difference between the 4 and the 4B?
Okay. Great question. Great question. I'm sorry. I should have touched on this. So the Form 4 will print only, will print non-biocompatible resins. Okay. So that would print all your model resins. Okay. It would print your soft tissue. It would print, oh my God, I'm blanking here on just the non, I guess that would be it in the dental space. Okay. And then your 4B will print all the dental resins, our premium teeth all on X, your splint material, your surgical guide. There's some extra validation work we did on there to guarantee to have a device clearance tied to your end use appliance once you're completed printing, washing, and curing. Okay. So I guess to boil this down is, if you just want to do models, Form 4 is a great option. If you want to do everything, Form 4B is a great option. The other thing, the B does have some of the extra software features such as templating and the honeycombing and some of that stuff. So there are some additional features bundled with the 4B software.
Awesome. The next question is from Alex, and he's new to 3D printing, so he has several questions. The first is dashboard extra from the 9,000 estimated price that you were stating?
Nope. Dashboard is covered by software. We don't charge for software.
Awesome. Okay, Alex, we're waiting for the next one. Here he goes. For teeth printing, does the system do layering of different materials for incisal translucency?
The answer is no, because resin-based technology at this point is not really capable of that. Okay. You would need something like a jetting technology or an FDM technology to do that. Most of the things in dental are going to be resin-based. I will tell you, with our premium teeth, we have done a very, very nice job with exposure levels to allow more translucency through on incisal edges, but it is one homogeneous material. It is one homogeneous shade. We've just been able to do some things in the process to get it there. I hope that answers your question.
He wants to know, does Preform do design, frames, and appliances?
No, you would need a design software for that.
Mhm.
And Fran, your team could help consult on what would be the best fit for him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now I'm going to launch another poll for everybody, and that one is if you would want to add, a Formlabs printer to your laboratory. You could answer yes if you have any other questions for me, as far as, a question like that, like adding software, something to that nature. I will personally give you a call and we can discuss what your needs are and what your laboratory, what you're thinking about would be best for your laboratory. And, at that point, I'll direct you to the sales team or be able to, take care of you from there. So if you answer yes, expect a call from me probably by end of day tomorrow, and we'll be able to discuss what your needs are. So thank you so much for answering this poll as well. We have another question.
Okay.
And I'll answer this one live because Alex wants to know if if everyone will have access to this recording. And yes, anytime you register for any webinars here at Zon Academy, you will get a thank you for registering email from our marketing department, probably tomorrow or the next day, that'll contain the link, and you'll be able to, access that link as long as you want to. And everything also lives live on our YouTube page. So anything that you see or anything that you have seen in the past lives in YouTube under Zon. So at any time you can view any of those. Okay, so Tiawan wants to know, um, someone said Form 3 Plus produces a smoother surface than the Form 4 because the round shaped laser depicts the outline of the shape. He wants to know if that's true.
I would say that if I put a model V3 in your hands or even model V2 versus a precision model off the Form 4, you would be shocked at the quality of the Form 4. And that's not saying that the Form 3 is not a great technology. Like I said, the laser tracing was something that was very effective for making a great model. I just think we've really upped our game because we are still effectively using a laser-based technology. We're just scaling that technology inside of the hardware.
Alex wants to thank you for your time and responses, John.
Oh,
So,
thanks for hopping on with me today.
so we have so much. Please, if you have any more questions, please, type them in for us. We have plenty of time, but I just want to let everybody know that on June 11th, we're going to have a great webinar with Daniel Alter, and that's going to be maximizing your lab's productivity with Zerlux print resins. But I think we have another one. Oh, Tijuana also wants to say thank you as well. So,
Thank you. Thank you for attending.
absolutely. On June 18th, we are going to have a webinar on simplifying your digital denture workflow featuring pack-dent resins with Jimmy Stegall. And that's going to be something really cool with a one-stop assemble, bond, and glaze feature. So please, sign up for those. They're going to be great informational webinars, and we'd love to have you. On June 6th, we are going to Philadelphia. Zon is traveling to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania with our digital automation roadshow. And that's going to be on June 6th. And there are still some seats available. We have over 20 manufacturer partners with live demos and lectures, all to increase your lab's productivity. So this is going to be a great roadshow. If you're in the area, we'd love to have you. Just go to Eventbrite to register, and John will be there, and he'll be live printing for us there in Philly. John, are you excited about joining?
I just caution everybody that I am a lot taller in person than I am on video. I'm just going to warn everybody. Fran could attest. So
I could, and I'm a lot shorter than I am on video. So you and me, we make a great team. But it's going to be great. It's going to be great. So if you're in the area, if you're in the tri-state area, if you want to go to Philadelphia, it's a beautiful time of year to visit. This will be one really great, fun roadshow with a lot of information and, like I said, a lot of demonstrations. So it will be good. On July 18th, we're going to be having a one-day course on surgical guides, and that's going to be over in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So we do have that up on Eventbrite as well. So if you want to check out some of our hands-on courses, please go to Eventbrite, take a look. You can find that by going through the Zon website, and that will direct you over to our hands-on courses. We have another question. Let's see. Okay. All right. So here's another question for you, John. This reviewer has received a model from Formlabs printed precision model resin and measured 13.974 of 14 millimeter feature, the most accurate among all brands he's received. So he's telling us this was pretty darn good.
Awesome. This is great to hear. Listen, as an employee of Formlabs, it's easy to drink the Kool-Aid, but listen, when we have users like you that come out and give us that great feedback, this is amazing, and this is just added on, just pile of data points that people have come to us and said that we've really got something here. So thanks for sharing the feedback.
Well, I love to see this from him because he's a researcher and a professor over at the University of Washington. So it's pretty cool to hear from him. Okay, so we have another one. The difference between the MJ and the SLM printer.
MJ. Okay, so MJ in terms of, can I get a little?
You need a little more information from this attendee? You
Yeah,
wouldn't mind if you wouldn't mind giving us a little more information for John. He'll type in some
yeah.
more
Okay.
info. He or she.
Mhm.
He's coming in as anonymous, so.
Okay.
And if you're not entirely sure, you could always email us,
Yeah.
and I'd be happy to get that question over to John and get you the answer. No problems there. Okay, it doesn't look like the question's coming through, John, but I just want to wish everybody a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining us here at Zahn Academy. Thank you, John, for all this information on these great printers.
Pardon me.
And I look forward to seeing you next week in Philly. And if
Yeah.
anybody's in the market, please join us. You won't be sorry.
All right.
Have
All
a
right.
great day, all, and thank you again.